We're heading now into the start of the DD2 and DD2 Masters Heat 2. Leroy Poulter there in second place with Liebenberg leading them out on pole. Behind them, Fabian Lance and Yuri Swart. They head down into turn 1. Leroy looking to get down the inside of Bradley. That's quite an audacious move to get straight across the inside and cut the bow off Fabian Lance as they head through turn 1. This is the most prestigious class on the day. Multiple South African titles, multiple world titles, multiple European titles. The caliber of driver in this class is unbelievable.
Liebenberg going and showing what he can do, but as you said, Leroy Poulter taking a very unusual start to the race and is now pushing as hard as he can, and Fabian Lance going and having a bit of fun lying in third place.
The Praga driver there, Fabian Lance, ahead of Julian van der Walt, current Formula 1600 driver, as they head through the chicane onto the main straight. Now Yuri Swart falling off the boat a bit there with Michael Stevens right behind him in kart number 1. The current Masters champion Van der Walt looking down the inside of Fabian Lance, gets it done but pushes her well wide.
Looks like a piece of bodywork came off through the corner there, but you can just see the guys are really duking it out. But Leroy Poulter and Liebenberg really going in at each other's throats up at the front.
We got a bit of a traffic jam going on here as they head through the chicane. Justin Allison, also a former representative of ours at the Strana World Championships last year.
Julian van der Walt doing everything he can to try and move up and is pushing as hard as he can. We've seen what he can do in Formula 1600 now with karts, going and battling his way through and having lots of fun in the process.
That overly aggressive move of Van der Walt has pushed Lance down into 6th place behind Michael Steven, who's chasing Yuri Swart there in the other CRG. Michael Steven's kind of an old dog in this racing, yeah? 13 titles to his name, and that's just in karting.
But Yuri Swart going and making sure he can keep him behind as he's really battling his way through. But Michael Steven doing what he can, getting into the toe and getting pulled along. But quite an unusual thing to see Fabian Lance just going and falling back off the grid slightly.
Just a little bit of setup to be done on that kart there to get her back into the front. I'm sure she'll be in the top 3 in the next heat as we head through and watch the gaggle of karts. O'Connor there, Junior Max winner last year, now in Max Challenge and DD2 on the same day. A lot of drivers doing 2 classes in one day. Don't know how they do it. They must be fit as a fiddle.
Definitely takes a toll on the body. You think of it, it's your mental endurance, your physical endurance, and as much as people say karts don't take their toll as much as cars, they will be wrong.
The bit of a student versus master going on there in the front as Liebenberg, the student, leading out the master of Leroy Poulter and former mentor of his as we head through the second 180s. That looked like a move on O'Connor.
Guys doing everything they can. You can see Lance going and pushing hard, moving up and trying to make up a bit of time. Michael Steven also doing what he can to get past Yuri Swart.
Van der Walt has put it on a proper turn of pace and caught right onto the back of Leroy Poulter. Leroy needs to start doing something to get going here. Maybe try and push onto the back of Liebenberg and get past him, keep himself safe from Van der Walt.
Van der Walt will try and make any move possible. Wants to get around Leroy Poulter. I mean, to get past such a champion is
That's
one thing.
Bevan Williams there making a move on Robert Whiting as they head into the 180. Whiting looking to get past him. Hubbard making a charge back to the field, pushes his way past both of them. Williams seems to be come off worse there out of any of them.
Habach trying everything he can to keep on going, but Williams definitely going and saying some colourful words underneath that helmet.
It's a lot more aggressive racing that he's used to. He's used to a 250 supercart where he ran away from the rest of the field last year. Now struggling a little bit to find some pace in these DD2s.
Well, when you're all in the same kart, you're all battling it out, and you've got a huge gaggle of grand drivers here going and having lots of fun. But you can just see Van der Walt really goes and charges onto the back of Leroy Poulter.
It's going to be difficult. It's going to be an interesting race for the 3 of them there up in the front. Bradley doesn't seem to get away from Leroy. Leroy's hanging in there with Van der Walt getting ever so close. Just behind them there though, Michael Stevens making a charge on the back of Yuri Swart. Hopefully we'll see a move there.
And one for women in motorsport, Fabian Lance also having lots of fun in the kart. Lance family been in motorsport since, wow, going back donkey's years actually.
Yeah, I think she's referred to as the old lady of karting, if I'm not mistaken. There in the Praga kart hanging around in 6th place, trying to get back onto the back of Michael Steven as he looks to get past Yuri Swart. Maybe she's could be gifted a 4th place here, who knows.
Well, Michael Steven really battling it out with Yuri. Yuri going very, very defensive through the corners. Michael Steven trying everything, but you can see Lance just sitting in the wings, waiting for the chance to go by. With the experience underneath her belt, she's just trying to eye out a little bit of a gap.
The top 6 here looks like a bit of an invitational race from main circuit. All of these drivers have all had main circuit success in one way or another. Yuri Swart, a Polo Cup driver. Michael Stevens, currently GTC South African champion and still racing in the GTC class with Audi Extreme.
And there we go. Our shot of our 3. Brad Liedenberg, Leroy Polter and Julian van der Walt going and duking it out with each other. Yuri Swart and Michael Steven also trying everything they can.
Jonathan Thomas and Justin Addison seem to be having a bit of a fight there behind the two of them. Justin raced in the Italian leg of the Rotax Grand Finals last year, held in Sana. I was actually there, and he drove very, very well in very difficult conditions. Looks like Leroy Polter's made a move to get past Bradley Liebenberg there at the front, though.
Leroy Polter trying everything he can, trying to show that he is the master and the student must follow, but really battling it out there. But you can just see Julian van der Walt doing everything he can to try and eye out a way past as well.
Bradley very, very dominating on the brakes into turn 1. He caught about 2 car lengths there on Leroy, but Leroy could get out of the corner just slightly better than him. Van der Walt having a look down the inside, but Bradley says, no, bud, you got to brake later than that to get past me. For some reason, Leroy defending when he doesn't need to. Maybe he doesn't think he has the pace to run in front of the young Bradley Liebenberg. Maybe he taught him a little bit too much. Who knows?
Well, it's turning into quite a difficult situation for him, but in doing so, he's slowing up just enough for Brad Liedenberg and Julian van der Walt to get right onto the back of him. And if those two team up, well, then he's got a problem.
Bradley now right on the back of Leroy, and we know into turn 1 he is a lot stronger on the brakes than Leroy. A bit of dust blowing past the visor of Leroy, maybe can make him feel a bit more at home, but it doesn't help as Bradley gets down the inside of him into turn 1, giving Van der Walt the opportunity to have a look. But Leroy's not going to let it go lightly. He tries to get down the inside. Bradley blocks it. He's now open for the second 180s with Van der Walt. Van der Walt getting a little muscle in there, leaning on the side part of Leroy Polter, let him know he's there. Leroy taking none of it. The old dog's been at this a while. He cannot be intimidated by anyone. They head down the back straight now. Leroy not having a look there, just doesn't have the top end on that Burrell art cart of Bradley's as they head through the last part of Golf Club.
Van der Walt just going and making sure, letting him know he's around, still hooked right into the back of that rear bumper and is pushing hard. He wants to try and get past Leroy. He needs to get up to Liedenberg because Liedenberg is starting to pull. But
Van der Walt down the inside there of Leroy Polter. He gets the move done and dusted, but they've dropped off the back of Bradley now as they head into the first 180s. Leroy looking to see who else is joining the party.
Absolutely stunning, but Van der Walt going and pulling a fantastic move. But you can just see Leroy Polter taking a look anywhere he can to try and make up that ground. He wants to get back up to Liedenberg. He wants to go and show what he can do.
They seem to have broken each other up there, but there's a bit of a gap between all 3 of those carts now from the argy-bargy between Leroy and Van der Walt. But Van der Walt came off best there. Just a couple of car lengths behind Liedenberg as they head onto the main straight. Close enough to use that slipstream of the circuit with the high winds that are going on. There's a headwind as they head down into turn 1.
You can just see it with that gazebo blowing about. But Leroy Polter in the Masters class of the DD2 and really showing what he can do, while Liedenberg of the DD2 is going and leading out the pack.
This year is the first year, though, that the DD2 and DD2 Masters are all on the same weight, so the carts are identical. It's just the age of the boys in the seats.
Well, I think that's about to be shown, as you can just see the battle for first place between 3 carts turning into one heck of a thing. But Fabian Lance dropping right back, actually, losing a lot of ground.
I think she may have used those tires a little bit too hard in the beginning and now struggling with a bit of understeer there on that kart as they head through this hard part of the circuit onto the main straight. Very, very hard on the front tires of these karts is this circuit.
The guys really showing what they can do, but you can just see Lance trying every so often to make up as much ground. Michael Steven going and having lots of fun there, chasing down Yuri Swart.
Leroy Polter, big dive down the inside on Van der Walt there, leaving Van der Walt a lot of room, a lot more room than he left him. So a little bit of gentleman driving there from the old man Leroy.
Just going and saying, thank you very much for that. I'll give you a bit of room. I'm chasing after the student and is pushing hard, but has got to work quite hard to catch up to Liedenberg, who's pulled a massive gap between the two.
Using all the track and more and a lot of curve there, Leroy Polter pushing as hard as he can to get on the back of Bradley Liedenberg. Very strange to see Leroy Polter in a CRG. I've only ever seen in my entire karting career in a Burrell, but making the change to CRG, the extreme karting team, and it seems to be working for them.
Well, when you just find something that clicks, it seems to be it. But you can see Leroy Polter taking a look. He's not forgetting that Julian van der Walt is one person you don't want to just forget about. as Van der Vaart does everything possible, like he does in the Formula 1600, is push as hard as he can.
Using some of the dirt there behind Leroy to just get that little bit extra, run that little bit wider, free the car up some more and get a good drive down the back straight, but using it just a bit too much there as he took some grass with him. They head down now through the most difficult part of the circuit, this turn onto the main straight now into turn 1, and there's the flag. Bradley Liebenberg ahead of Leroy Poulter, Julian Van der Vaart, Yuri Swart, Michael Steven and Fabian Lance bringing up 6th place.
Absolutely amazing. These guys going and duking it out. The student takes the win over the master. So just confirming, Bradley Liebenberg taking the win, Leroy Poulter the masters in 2nd, Julian Van der Vaart, Yuri Swart, Michael Steven.
Yeah, the race was quite hectic. I got away a bit in the beginning and fortunately I made a few mistakes and got caught. Leroy managed to get past me, but I managed to get him back and defend, and after that I put my head down and tried to pull a little bit of a gap. I'm not sure if they were fighting behind, but they dropped off quite a bit and managed to win it.
Yeah, the race was good. We obviously the first one we won, and the second one now we had a good race with Brad. Brad really drove well. He did a good job, and we're going to have to go home and work harder for the last one.